Hi, I'm Herm Gailey here with Yearling Bunny, and what we want to do is show how to back your horse off when you stop, how to keep them from passing you when you lead, and so forth. Now, I was hoping with her best friend here, she might try to lead past me, but evidently I've got her a little too well prepared. But I want to show you the move anyway because it involves no tools and it's pretty effective. Now, before you do this, you need to have some tools in place. You need to have your horse reasonably halter broke. You have to have your horse that he won't run over you. You need to have your horse to where they'll back up with or without a stick when you ask them to. And then what I'll do to reinforce the stop when I stop and back when I back without me having to turn around and chase them backwards. See, people will get like this and they'll chase them backwards. And of course that works. Of course that works. But that means when you're walking along, you're constantly having to turn and chase your horse back. And really, they should respect your positioning, not just your tool. Plus, if you're using a stick, as a lot of people do to get their horse better with things, I have no problem with that, but you need to wean off of that. You need to wean off of that because you're not going to walk through your whole life with a stick in your hand. So what I'll do, and this filly, I was hoping she might be passing me. She's being very good. So I'm just going to stop. And if I want her to back up, this hand comes into play. And there's a little contact there. And this is an example of my theory that you don't desensitize your horse. Because she has the sensitivity that that contact means something to her. Notice the lead rope is in my left hand. My right hand is free because that's what I'm going to use to back her off if she would get ahead of herself. Or just to reinforce, suppose I'm stepping back and my hand is there, my hand is there, my hand is there. And she's staying one step ahead of my hand. So she's only had this done maybe 2 times, but she's learned her lesson pretty well. But it is very useful. Now, if you have a horse that's really looking to run over you, or a horse that will spurt forward when you do this, then go to work on them with a stick and get them backing off using that tool. But you want to have your horse to where they're pretty sensitive to that. Now see, I've got her a little scared, and I won't claim that I'm desensitizing her, but I'm reassuring her. My hand is not a weapon, and I don't want her to think it is. But when I stop, she stops. When I back, and pretty quick, that hand is just a reinforcer if you need it. But being able to walk backwards, step right back up, stop, walk backwards. It's a little slow there, so I just gave her a little reinforcement. And I'm touching her about this hard. I mean, my daughter's got a 8-month-old baby, and maybe I'd pat her that hard and not do her any harm. But this filly knows that it means something when I go. And the first couple of times, there was a little bite there. And I see she was a little slow. So we reinforce that. Now you want to be very aware of the potential that you get your horse to where they won't step forward. And if that happens, then you've got to address it. But see, I'm not doing anything with my hand, so she's standing still. But if I go backward, that should mean to her that she mirrors what I'm doing. When I go forward, she mirrors what I'm doing. When I stop, she stops. See, she needs the hand. In time, she won't need that. I step back, no go, and a reminder. I stop her, I step back, and she's moving without my hand coming into play. Now, what you don't do is keep the rein in your right hand, or the lead rope in your right hand, and twist all around like that. You just use this hand instead. Then you've got the signal hand ready to do things, and just twiddling your fingers becomes enough, and then just your movement's enough. Well, as promised, we are here with Coco. She's a 5-year-old mare, and she's the one that likes to lead you. And you can see she's getting ahead of me here, and almost leaning into me. Now, what would you do about this? Well, a lot of people would do this: hold her back, hold her back, hold her back. And what you do when you do that is you draw them over to you and ultimately on top of you. And in short order, they will learn to lean into you with their shoulder and just move you wherever they want to. So you can see she's not being ugly about it, but she's in a position where she could blow by me, startle and kick. She could drag me wherever she wants because she has sort of a mechanical advantage, and she could do what she's just doing a little bit there. When you try to hold her back, see where she goes. She goes into your space and pushes you out of the way. Now, the good news is she's very light to handle, very reactive. So I'm going to show you 2 little moves. One probably is better done, I'm going to say, coming the other direction. So I'm going to turn her around. But you can see how she wants to lead. She's got friends out here she'd like to go see more than hang out with me. So what I'm going to do is start walking back here. Now, she's not going to be as anxious this way because it's away from where she wants to go. But to soften her up, I'm going to turn and say, "You thought we were going that way? No, we're going this way." And you can see I have to change hands as she goes behind me. There is a moment of vulnerability there. Now, I know you won't be able to see it as well, but I'm going to do it this way where the magnet is drawing her. So I've got my rope, and I go this way and head the other direction. But it's more than just floundering around with her. It's saying, hey, if you have to go that fast, and you can go the whole way around if you want, let's slow down. Let's see. And she stopped with me that time, which was encouraging. And see how that's having an effect, even going her chosen direction. But it'll wear off pretty quick. So there she goes. She's starting to get by me. Left hand comes across, grasps the rope, and she crosses behind me. As she crosses behind you, there is a moment when you're exposed. If she would spook and jump forward, she could take you out. If you had a horse that was extremely pushy and aggressive, this might not be the very best maneuver to use. But see how that, without doing anything ugly to her, is getting her leading better. Getting her not wanting to follow me. Or, yeah, wanting to follow me, not lead me. Let's see, there she goes again. She's getting closer to where she wants to be. So I take her back around. So, left hand reaches for the rope, brings her around. It yields her hind quarter, changes her direction, and softens her up. Now, to continue what we did with the Palomino filly, we're going to take this to the next level. I'm a little concerned this mare is so reactive that when I tap her chest with my hand, she may overreact. So we're going to see what happens. This mare does have the pieces on her. She's been home and out in the pasture for a full year and forgot quite a bit. So we're going to stop, and she didn't stop. So I'm just waving that hand at her and letting her bump into it. And there you see the upside to having a horse that's pretty reactive. With that one version, which she's never had this done before, that one episode, we're turning her around, changing hands, regrouping. Now what you want to be careful with a horse as reactive and responsive as this one is not to get her fleeing backwards. But you want her to know that moving back is what happens if she gets too far forward. That was really good. So what you do is you don't turn this into a big, quote, groundwork session and, give it a title and say, this is what we're going to do for a half hour. Every time she comes in and out from the pasture, she would get a dose of this. Frankly, she's been here for a little while and I kind of put up with it, and I thought, well, let's make a little video about making it better. And if you watch her ears, they flip back and forth. She doesn't pin them at me. She's moving them back and forth as she tries to understand. Now, how hard am I smacking her? That's probably harder. She thinks it's hard because she's very sensitive. Some of these horses you could probably smack pretty good. But see how this whole process has her relaxing. She's got her head down. This was not stressful to her. She's not taking the slack out of my rope. If I had stopped right here when we started this process, she'd have been all over the place at the beginning. With this little bit of work, she's already figured out that with me is a good place to be. It's not going to hurt her, but she does have to accept it. So, they always say horses learn on the release. I'm going to take her out to the pasture, and guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to release her. Till next time.